Welcome to the Dance Studio Empire podcast business series. This podcast is about building your studio empire, whatever that is for you, whether you're just getting started or striving to hit the elusive $1 million mark. This business series will give you the confidence and know-how you need to transform your studio and give you the business you've always wanted. So sit back and get ready to build your dance studio empire. Hey studio owner, and welcome back to the Dance Studio Empire podcast. This is where we discuss the challenges and the triumphs of running a dance studio. Now today I am going to be talking to you about leaning into leadership, which is a really important aspect to running a successful dance studio. Now, the idea for this topic came after I had a conversation with a studio owner. Now, this was a little while ago, but I just had taken notes and I came across it the other day because I was relating a little bit to it. And so that's what made me think, oh, that's right, I had that conversation. It means I must have to share it with others. Now, the conversation I was having was with a studio owner, and I have known her for quite a while. She's successful. She has big numbers. She's been going for quite a while. Over that time, she's had staff. Just like, most of us, they turn over, as most do. But she, had a great team, and, it was all gelling until one particular team member came in and challenged her and wasn't following the rules and wasn't aligning with everything that was supposed to happen in her studio. But what it actually did for her as the owner was it made her lose confidence. And start to doubt her decisions and the things she was doing and questioning, was she still on the right track with the way she was leading her business? Anyway, we had a great talk about that because I think it's quite common that we do at times. You might have been going for a while, maybe you're new, but you're slowly stepping into your confidence as a leader. But then out of nowhere, and sometimes for no reason, your confidence just starts to get wobbly. I don't know why. I still have it. Every now and then it comes across. Maybe it's us stepping into a new level of leadership. I don't know the answer to that, but I do know that it happens. And so that's why I thought I'd discuss it with you today and just talk about some ways that I me personally still use to just re-engage with myself, question what I'm doing just to make sure that I'm on the right path to get back in alignment with leading my business the way that I want to. All right. So dance studio owners, you are wearing many hats. And as lovely as it would be just to say, I'm just the dance studio owner, that's not true. You're probably teaching, you're an administrator, you're a marketer, you're possibly a counselor or a relationships expert with some of the teachers you have, or maybe even some of your older students. You're possibly a dressmaker and a designer. The list honestly goes on. I totally get it. But most importantly, if you are the owner of a dance studio, you need to be the leader. And being the leader requires you to have a clear vision. It requires you to be able to communicate effectively, and you need to be able to inspire not only your teachers and your team, but your students as well, because we want them to be reaching their full potential. So as studio owners, we have this opportunity to create a positive and inspiring environment. It's just important that you have a clear understanding of your values and your goals. And then you need to communicate them in a way that then motivates and inspires the others in your life to follow. Okay, so I honestly believe leadership, stepping into your leadership takes time. And I just think we get better. The more we do it, the more we evolve, the more lessons we learn. I believe we just get better. And when I was doing the notes for this podcast, I was actually thinking back and laughing to myself when I first had my first teacher and had my first assistants. And it's actually, funny, but also slightly embarrassing, like how I used to handle things and the conversations that I had. I remember this poor teacher. She was one of my first hires, and she was teaching the class, and she taught quite differently to how I teach. And if you've listened to any of my other podcasts before, in some of them I talk about the first time that I relinquished my power and let somebody else. I delegated the role of teaching classes to someone else, and how hard that was. But I remember this poor girl who it just didn't last very long in the industry, but that's fine. And I remember the conversations I would have after class with her going, can I just offer some feedback? Can I just offer some feedback? Instead of just sitting down, having the conversation, listening to my own insecurities, it was terrible. I admit it was terrible, but I learned from it. And so after it, because I think she actually said to me, you offer a lot of feedback. I'm like, yeah, I do. And I know feedback is absolutely essential, of course, but the way I was doing it, I was just inexperienced. And I hadn't really been in a position where, because I've always owned the business and always been a teacher, I'd never really been in a situation where I was on the other side of that. So anyway, what I'm saying is I learnt over time how to be better at communicating and having those conversations. And it really does come back to that confidence that we need to have as leaders of our businesses. So let's move on, talking about how vital leadership is. And it can be challenging, but when you focus on the right things, it can be incredibly rewarding. And so I'm just going to talk you through 5 points of things that you can do that will help when you need to lean into leadership. Okay, so the first thing is to focus on what you give rather than what you get from running your studio, because it really is easy to get caught up with what you're getting out of running the dance studio. Now, this could be simply like personal, like you might just love the feeling of being loved, or the feeling of being in charge, or the feeling of just being surrounded by people who adore you. Maybe it's financial. Maybe it's, this is what I get from it. I get to go on holiday, which is all well and good for sure. But true leadership is actually focusing on what you can give. So when you're putting your students and your staff first, doing things for them, everything else just seems to fall back into place. And honestly, this is what I focus on at those times when it all just starts getting a bit crazy and I just start doubting myself, and I'm like, am I doing the right thing? Am I going down the right path? This is what I just go to. Okay, what is it I can give to my staff, to the students? Like, what is it I can do that is, it turns on itself. I don't know how, I don't know why, it just does. So you can just try it and trust me. I don't know. But that's the first thing I do. Focus on what you can give rather than what you can get. Okay, the second thing is, and this is hard, but you just have to do things that you don't feel like doing. There are just certain things. And I know you're sitting there right now and you're like, yeah, I know those things, and they're the ones you put off, and you just like, I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, I'll make that phone call tomorrow. I'll have that hard conversation next week when I see her face to face. Those sort of things. I know we don't want to do them. I still don't. I still sit here every day and procrastinate doing them, but I have learned that just do them straight away, because there are always going to be things that you don't feel like doing or you don't want to do, but we just have to. It's not always going to be fun. It's not always going to be exciting, but it's essential for the success of your studio. Also, when you lead by example, your team will follow suit as well. And I mean, this could be as simple as sweeping the floor or cleaning the toilets. I still will sometimes go in, and although we have a cleaner that comes in, sometimes the toilets just need to be cleaned in between because we have so many people coming through. And I'm proud of my studio, and I want people to feel like it's clean and it's attended to, and I want people to be proud of being there. And so that's what it takes. That's what I have to do sometimes, is just step up and do that. Trust me, I don't want to be doing that, but I just do. So that's my second bit of advice, is just there are definitely things you don't want to do, but you're going to have to do them anyway. Okay, number 3 is listen with intent to understand. Oh, I love this. Listening is such an essential skill in leadership, But when you listen with the intent to understand, you're showing your students and you're showing your teachers that you care about their needs and concerns. So really take the time to really hear what they have to say and then respond appropriately with empathy. And then the other thing with this, and I think you as the leader of your studio should do this with your teachers and your staff. But I think it's also really important for you to train your teachers to do that with the students as well. So it shouldn't just be coming from you, it should be coming from your teachers as well. And it is so powerful when they get this, because just because words are coming out of someone's mouth and they're saying something, it's not necessarily what they mean. And I think a really good skill as a leader, and for you to also pass on to your teachers, is to read in between the lines. Have a look at that body language. Have a look and try and work out what it is they're actually saying, because it may be more than what's actually being said. And I know that sounds a bit convoluted, but it really does make a difference. And then when you respond with an understanding, with compassion, that's when you're going to get true connection. So listening with that intent to understand is very powerful. Okay, number 4 is figure out your strengths and delegate your weaknesses. Okay, as a leader, you can't be good at everything, except apparently if you're my husband, because apparently he's good at everything. But no, just jokes. Figure out what your strengths are and delegate your weaknesses. When you surround yourself with a team that complement your skills, you'll just be able to achieve a whole lot more. And I know it makes sense. And it's hard at the beginning, especially, if you don't have a big team or you don't have the money to outsource things. But you can get creative with it. Just make a list of what it is you're good at, what you're not so good at, and then start working ways to cleverly put the right people in or get the advice that you need to be able to have that all sorted out, because you are better focusing on what you're good at and what's going to grow your business. All right. So instead of trying to do it all, but make smart decisions when it comes to this. And finally, number 5 is lead with empathy and compassion. Now, it's so important to lead with empathy and compassion. When you're showing your students and your staff that you care about them as individuals, they are just going to become more invested in the success of your dance studio. And obviously that's important that they're invested in your studio, but we also want them invested in themselves, being part of that. And I think that's how we do it, by just listening and understanding, building that connection. Just take the time to connect with them on that personal level as well as the professional level, and show them that you value their contributions. Honestly, I think some of the best ideas, or even ways we've varied the way we run the classes, has just come from comments or ideas from my teachers, which I have spoken about again in previous podcasts. But when we get together, I encourage my teachers to come up with ideas and suggest things, because there's some really great ideas that come from other people. We get stuck in our box. We start thinking the same. It's hard for us, when we're surrounded by something for so long. So to have that outside input can be really, really beneficial for you and your business. So lead with that compassion and that understanding. And I also encourage you, if you're at a point where you're hiring a studio manager, now that you're hiring teachers, try and see, don't try, ask them, or try and get the perception whether they have these skills themselves, that empathy and compassion. I don't know if it's something you can teach. I don't know if it's just something that's innately in someone. I don't know the answer to that, but I certainly do try when I am hiring teachers to see whether they're showing me signs of these, these important things of empathy and compassion and connection. This is what I'm looking for in them. So you obviously need to lead from the top, because it's going to trickle down and they're going to copy your behaviors as well. So really important. All right, that's it. Leadership is essential to the success of any dance studio. And by focusing on what you can give, doing things you don't feel like doing, listening with the intent to understand, delegating your weaknesses, and leading with empathy and compassion, that's when you become a great leader that your team looks up to. And then when you're going through all these things again, the 5 different things, you'll start your confidence will start to come back if you have lost it for a bit. These will just keep you on track. As I said, it's normal. It's normal to go up and down with confidence, and some days you're going to love what you're doing, and other days you're going to be questioning every second of the day. It's like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Someone remind me again. But keep coming back to this. Remember, you are valued. Remember, you are important. It's hard sometimes because you are continually leading and you are continually being the one propping other people up. But I am here to tell you, it is worth it. You are worth it. And just to hang in there and keep going. All right, that's it. Thank you so much for listening to the Dance Studio Empire. I hope you found this episode helpful, and I would love for you to tune in next time for more tips and some insights into running a successful dance studio, as well as I'm going into details about some exciting new things coming up. So anyway, have a great week. I will catch you then. Hey studio owner, if you are ready to have classes so full you need a waitlist, an incredible team who are exceptional with your dancers, or simply generate more revenue for your studio, then I want to invite you to join Dance Business Academy. Now, whether you are just getting started or striving to hit the elusive $1 million mark, Dance Business Academy will give you the confidence and know-how you need to transform your studio and build your dance studio empire. Just send me an email to info@danceteachercentral.com and I'll send you through the details.